There is something called, even before BRICS, there is something called AIIB, Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, headquartered in Beijing. The main source of demand for US Treasury bond is Asia. In Korea, Japan, Singapore, China, India, because these are the exporting countries to the rest of the world.
China is rising, India is rising, other countries are rising on the table. How is the US still able to maintain this weaponization act of the dollar?
अब अरू एक दुई त देशमा जसलाई डलरको चाहिएको हुन्छ तर टेम्पोररी डलर छैन, यु आर बिग, द्याट्स वेन द IMF इज फोर्सिङ यु. सपोज IMFले 150 मिलियन तपाईँलाई दियो होइन, थाइल्यान्ड दियो, कोरियालाई, इन्डोनेसियालाई. लार्ज पार्ट अफ द मनी इज युज टु पे ब्याक द लोन टु द वेस्टर्न कन्ट्रिज. अब त्यो 1997 को क्राइसिस पछि IMFदेखि दिगदार भएर एसिया वान्टेड टु क्रिएट एसियन मोनिटरी फन्ड, AMF, त्यसलाई रोकिदियो अमेरिका. अब BRI आयो, त्यसलाई पनि रोक्नु खोज्यो. जस्ट द्याट दे कुड नट, बट दे डिड ट्राई. लाइक आई सेड, नाउ 155 countries on BRI, 105 countries on AIIB. And I have a list of things that Asia wanted to do something where America said, no, they put a foot down.
Yeah. So, Omkarji, I'm very excited. I was looking forward to this conversation, economico especially. I've done a couple of episodes. It's a subject जुन बेला बेलामा रिपिट गरेर राख्नु पर्ने, मल्टिपल एस्पेक्टबाट हेरेर राख्नु पर्ने काइन्ड अफ कन्टेक्स्ट पनि हो. एन्ड जति धेरै ओपिनियन्स या आइडियाज या पर्सपेक्टिभ्स आयो त्यति बेटर हुन्छ जस्तो लाग्यो. र स्पेसली जुन आजको कन्टेक्स्टमा हामी कुरा गर्न लागेको छौँ, हिस्ट्रीको कुराहरू पनि छ, यहाँ डेभलपमेन्टको एस्पेक्टहरू पनि छ, वेयर वी आरको कन्टेक्स्ट पनि छ, ग्लोबल एस्पेक्ट पनि आइरहेको छ. सो यो सबै स्टार्ट गर्नुभन्दा पहिला तपाईँको एउटा सानो इन्ट्रोडक्सनबाट स्टार्ट गरौँ. प्लिज टेल मी अबाउट युर सेल्फ, तपाईँको वर्क, तपाईँको एक्सपिरियन्सेस.
Who am I? You see, Sanjay, I started, after my study, I spent about 2 years. मैले चाहिँ मेरो अध्ययन सक्न साथ मैले चाहिँ इकोनोमिक्समा PhD गरेको थिएँ. I'm an old man. अनि मैले चाहिँ पढाइसकेपछि फर्केर आएँ. 2 वर्ष जति यहीँ काठमाडौँ नेपालमै काम गरेँ. त्यसमा करिब 6 महिना जाँचबुझ केन्द्रमा थिएँ राजा वीरेन्द्रको त्यो रिजनल भ्रमणमा. अनि राजा वीरेन्द्रसँगै जापान, मलेसिया, चाइना र फिलिपिन्स त्यो रोयल इन्टरराजमा थिएँ. अनि त्यसपछि आफ्टर द्याट 2 years हियर इन नेपाल, अनि राष्ट्र ब्याङ्कमा थिएँ त्यति इन्जेल त्योभित्र. र त्योभित्र फेरि मैले करिब 1 सेमेस्टर जति यहाँ हाम्रो त्रिभुवन विश्वविद्यालयमा पनि पढाएको थिएँ. त्यसपछि आई मुभ टु ब्याङ्कक, टु एस्क्याप, UN हेडक्वार्टर त्यहीँ छ कि एस्क्यापमा. त्यहाँ 2 वर्ष जति बस्यौँ. त्यसपछि आई गट दिस अफर एट एसियन डेभलपमेन्ट ब्याङ्क, एसियाली विकास ब्याङ्कमा. त्यहाँ गएर थियो त्यसको गुरुत्वाकर्षण, द ग्राभिटी अफ ADB, आई गट स्टक देयर. त्यहाँ चाहिँ करिब 27 वर्ष चाहिँ पऱ्यो. अनि त्यो 27 वर्षभित्र त्यति बेला चाइना वाज नट द मेम्बर येट, सदस्य हुनु पाएको थिएन. अनि पछि 1986 मा चाइना अल्सो बिकेम मेम्बर. र मेम्बर हुन साथै म चाइना डेस्कमा आई वाज वान अफ द फ्यु स्टाफ. करिब 10 वर्ष त्यो रेस्पोन्सिबिलिटीमा काम गरेँ. द्याट्स हाउ आई स चाइना इन द अर्ली डेज. त्यसको किशोरावस्था कस्तो थियो, कहाँबाट सुरु गर्यो, आज कहाँ पुगिरहेछ. त्यो हेर्दाखेरि यु क्यानट बट बी overwhelmed by what they have done in such a short period. यति छोटो समयमा यति धेरै डिस्टेन्स कभर गर्न आजको इतिहासमा कुनै देश छैन. नट अमेरिका, नट बेलायत, नट युरोप, नो, नन. अनि त्यो 27 वर्षको बिच 3 वर्ष मैले बङ्गलादेश बिताएँ ढाकामा. द्याट वाज अ ब्युटिफुल एक्सपिरियन्स. बङ्गलादेश सबभन्दा राम्रो ठाउँ, ढाका सबभन्दा राम्रो ठाउँ म भन्दिनँ, तर जब सेटिस्फ्याक्सन जुन पाइन्छ नि, द्याट वाज ब्युटिफुल. त्यहाँ गएर मैले देखेँ सानो काममा पनि, सानो कुरामा पनि, वेन यु क्यान रिच द पिपल, जब चाहिने ठाउँमा आफू पुगिरहेछ, सहायता, सानो सहायता, ठुलो सहायता, र जब त्यो मान्छेको, त्यो गाउँलेको, त्यो भिलेजर्सहरूको, वेन यु सी the smile in their face, That's beautiful. म चाहिँ त्यहाँ मैले अगाडि भने जस्तै ठाउँ वाज नट द बेस्ट फ्रेङ्कली इट वाज नट इजी तर वर्क जब सेटिस्फ्याक्सन वाज फ्यान्टास्टिक 3 वर्ष र त्यो 3 वर्षमा मैले देखेँ बङ्गलादेश जसलाई बास्केट केस भनिन्थ्यो 1971 को वार पछि जब इन्डिपेन्डेन्स भयो त्यसपछि इट्स अ होपलेस केस यो दिस कन्ट्री विल नट मेक इट तर जब त्यहाँ when I saw what I saw you cannot but be impressed there also don't forget that अहिले हुँदा त्यहाँ अलि प्रब्लम भइरहेछ तर आर्थिकमा त तिनीहरू धेरै नै माथि आइरहेछन् इभन त्यति बेला पनि आई कुड सी द्याट करप्सन त्यहाँ नभए होइन त्यहाँ पनि छ तर डेलिभर पनि छ वान वे ट्राफिक होइन 3 वर्ष त्यहाँ बिताएँ फर्केर हेड क्वार्टर मनिलामा आएँ इन बिट्विन त्यो 27% हेड क्वार्टर त मनिलामा हो नि अनि त्यसमा फेरि मेरो टुवर्ड्स द एन्ड अफ माई क्यारियर एट द ब्याङ्क म 2 वर्ष भियतनाममा मेरो त्यो म चाहिँ हनोईमा म सरेँ सो आई वाज देयर फर 2 इयर्स र भियतनाममा पनि माई गड द्याट्स अ ब्युटिफुल एक्सपिरियन्स आई वाज सो इन्ट्रेस्ट मलाई त्यो भियतनामको वार सुन्दा सुन्दै हुर्किएको मान्छे यहाँ कि त्यो जब म त्यहाँ पुगेँ त्यहीँ बसेँ त्यहाँ मैले चाहिँ तिनीहरूको अतीतमा इन्ट्रेस्ट थिएँ तिमीले कसरी फाइट गर्यो के त्यहाँका मान्छेहरू अतीतको कुरै गर्न चाहन्न खालि भविष्य डियरलाइज द डिफरेन्स दे डोन्ट वान्ट टु गो लुक पास्ट इट्स ए कन्ट्री इन ए रस मेरो टाइम धेरै छैन आई वान्ट टु क्याच अप सो आइ एम टक अफ द फ्युचर आवर प्लान इट्स ए कन्ट्री द Vietnam when they sleep with their eyes open when the rest of the world sleep with their closed eyes in other words the planning and the hard work the discipline I had a coffee with the Indian ambassador one afternoon Omkar how do they work 4 o'clock in the morning 4 बज्नु पाएछ म मेरो घरबाट म दुनियाँभरको नोइज सुन्छु त्यो फुल बेच्न आइरहेछ सागपात बेच्न आइरहेछ त्यहाँ द डे हेज बिगन नभन्दै आज Vietnam is not competing with Philippines it's going to compete with Thailand straight away and don't count it out त्यसैले त्यो अनि Vietnam that was towards the end of my career right? Towards the retirement age with AIIB अनि त्यति बेला करिब 5-6 महिना मात्र बाँकी थियो होला मेरो रिटायरमेन्ट हुन देन आई गट दिस अफर फ्रम सिङ्गापुर म गएँ त्यहाँ इन्स्टिट्युट अफ साउथ इस्ट एसियन स्टडिज फर रिसर्च चाहिँ आसियन एसोसिएसन अफ साउथ इस्ट एसियन नेसन्स भनेको हाम्रो सार्क इक्विभलेन्ट एक्सेप्ट सार्कमा चाहिँ अलि धेरै नै है त्यो किशोर इन्फेन्सीबाट चाहिँ धेरै अगाडि बढ्नु पाएको छैन आसियन चाहिँ धेरै नै अगाडि बढाएको छ त्यसमा त्यो सकिएको 5 वर्षको है त्यसपछि देन आई गट द कल फ्रम नेसनल युनिभर्सिटी अफ सिङ्गापुर वान्ट टु टिच वान्ट टु टेक सम कोर्सेस सो द्याट्स वाट आइम डुइङ
एउटा तपाईँले कुरा अघि भन्नुभयो बङ्गलादेशको केसमा जब सेटिस्फ्याक्सनको आई वान्ट टु आस्क अबाउट दिस जब सेटिस्फ्याक्सन केले दिने रहेछ इज इट इन्ट्रेन्सिक जुन डिसिप्लिन कल्चर त्यसले गरेर हो कि अपब्रिङिङले गरेर हो कि इट्स द एक्सटर्नल फ्याक्टर्स पोलिसिज इकोनोमिक्स द कन्ट्री
कुड बी लिटल बिट इन्डिभिजुअल अल्सो आई गेस द DNA if you call it simply because जब त्यहाँ रोड प्रोजेक्ट when you go drive through the road and when you see the truck loaded with the उताबाट आइरहेछ उता गइरहेछ loaded with the आयात निर्यात दुनियाँभरको मान्छे सरिरहेछ and well you work for that project अनि त्यो मात्र होइन वान पर्टिकुलर यो मैले भन्नु म हिचकिचाइरहेको थिएँ कि वान स्मल केस के त्यो DFI लोन भन्नेहरू हुन्छ क्या डेभलपमेन्ट फाइनेन्स इन्स्टिट्युसन्स भनेको ब्याङ्क AIIBले सानो किसान है त्यो भिलेजरलाई दिनु पऱ्यो भने सानो लोनहरू त्यो सबैमा गैर साध्य हुँदैन त्यसैले AIIBले यो त त्यहाँको लोकल ब्याङ्कलाई ल यो 1 करोड तिमी डलर तिमी राख 1 करोड चाहिँ यो आधारमा यहाँको हैन त्यो भिलेजहरूलाई चाहिँ सानो लोन दियो त्यसको आधारमा म हेर्न गएको थिएँ टाइम टु टाइम आई हेभ टु गो प्रोभिन्समा हेर्न गएको थिएँ अनि त्यो चाहिँ कोही के गरिरहेको छ अनि मैले त्यहाँ त्यो स्पेसली द भिलेज लेडिज अनि तिमीलाई के चाहियो चाहिँ इमिडिएट तिमीहरूको चाहना के त अहिले के वाट योर इमिडिएट रिक्वायरमेन्ट भन्दाखेरि यु नो वाट इज सेड अ सुइङ मेसिन अनि सो म तिम्रो इङ्ग्लिस बोल्दिनँ म बङ्गाला बोल्दिनँ कि अलिअलि चाहिँ अनि मैले मसँग सँगै एकजना स्टाफ आएको हुन्छ त्यस्तो फिल्डमा जाँदाखेरि मैले त्यसलाई सोधेँ मैले एउटा दिएँ भने इज द्याट नियम अफिसको नियमबाट त्यो पर्मिसन छ कि छैन म त त्यहाँ एडिपीको नाताले गइरहेको छु कि त्यसमा केही नहोस् त्यसले भन्छ केही हुँदैन यु क्यान गिभ त्यसपछि तिमीले क्यान यु प्लिज गो टु द नियरेस्ट मार्केट गेट वान गिभ आई वान्ट टु गिभ नाउ त्यहाँ चाहिँ अरे यार 20-30जना लेडिजहरू दिया लुक एट देयर सिम्पल निड वान सोइङ मेसिन एन्ड त्यसै यसले के गर्छौ हामी वी एलोकेट द टाइम अमङ आवर सेल्फ्स त्यसले चाहिँ इट विल गिभ अस गुड इन्कम एन्ड थ्याङ्क गड माई फ्रेन्ड माई कलिग ही म्यानेज टु गेट इट एन्ड केम ब्याक आफ्टर इट टुक टाइम बट डार्क अन्ध्यार हुन लागिसकेको थियो जब त्यो ल्यायो त्यो दोज लेडिज वेन दिस यु नो के भन्छ धन्यवाद हो यु man, that was a huge rate of return for a tiny investment. And त्यस्तो चाहिँ बार भइरहन्थ्यो कि सानो अनि त्यो you know in some developed countries man doesn't that's your project you come you are paid for the project you come look at get out त्यो anyway त्यसले चाहिँ मलाई धेरै नै it lasted on me त्यो भन्छ नि I think I should not claim too much.
You know what? I'm so excited आजको conversation को लागि especially because I noticed that you are such a good storyteller पनि जुन हिसाबले तपाईँले भनिरहनु भएको छ सो आजको conversationमा I think we are evolving around so many topics that I'm looking forward to learning about Singapore ko development. I'm looking forward to learning about China ko development. And of course dollar ko कुराहरु पनि आउँछ र let's start from dollar को कुरा किनभने it's 15th August. This should be the day जुन बेला चाहिँ निक्सनले फेमसली डलरलाई गोल्ड स्ट्यान्डर्डबाट हटाएको थियो राइट
So how did you know? So I see, okay. Oh, yeah, famously or a little bit unpleasantly. I don't know, we don't know, okay.
So before we get to that point, पहिला सुरु चाहिँ डलर कसरी एउटा ग्लोबल करेन्सी नै भयो आई थिङ्क त्यहाँबाट सुरु गर्नु पऱ्यो हामीहरूले होइन त डलरको हिस्ट्री के हो अल अफ अ सडन हाउ डज वान कन्ट्रिज करेन्सी आइ एम नट इभन स्योर इफ द्याट इज अलाउड इज द्याट समथिङ द्याट इज फेभरेबल फर अल कि एउटा देशको करेन्सीलाई नै वर्ल्ड करेन्सी बनाइदियो भनेर भन्छ त त्यो त एउटा हिसाबले त मोनोपोली जस्तो पनि देख्यो एउटा हिसाबले अनफेयर टु अदर नेसन्स जस्तो पनि देख्यो तर हाउ डिड द वर्ल्ड सबैजना डिसाइड गरेर हो कि कसरी हो डलर इज गोइङ टु बी द ग्लोबल करेन्सी भनेर त्यो पोइन्टमा कहाँबाट पुग्यौँ हामी
वाउ यु नो द वे यु पुट द क्वेसन जुन ढङ्गबाट तपाईँले प्रश्नलाई राख्नुभयो नि तुरुन्तै मेरो मनमा आएको I wish you were one of the negotiators at that time. That's exactly the issue was raised, that it is not in the interest, global interest. This point was raised. Okay, let me tell you a story about world economic order. अहिलेको हैन विश्व आर्थिक व्यवस्था त्यस world economic order मा dollar how does it come सारा विश्वमा for your capital movement यहाँ उता पठाउनु पर्यो डलरमा यहाँ त त्यसलाई ट्रेड ट्रान्ज्याक्सन गर्दाखेरि सेटलमेन्ट गर्नु पर्यो डलरमा कहाँ एउटा अमेरिकन ब्याङ्कबाट अर्को अमेरिकन ब्याङ्कले क्लियर गरे हुन्छ अथवा वेस्टर्न ब्याङ्क्स जे होस् हैन how did it get such a massive power where did when did it start and how let's start from the start 1944 मा जब वर्ल्डको द्वितीय विश्वयुद्ध भइरहेको थियो टुङ्गिन पाएको थिएन त्यति बेला 1944 यो ब्रेटन वुड्स भन्ने ठाउँमा यो चाहिँ न्यू ह्याम्पसायरमा छ त्यहाँ चाहिँ दे मिन्स द डेभलप्ड कन्ट्रिज लेड बाई अमेरिका दे वेयर टकिङ अबाउट द इस्टाब्लिसिङ कुनै सिस्टम त बनाउनु पर्यो होइन एमङ द होल अल द मेम्बर कन्ट्रिज यो कस्तो व्यवस्था बनाउनु पर्ला सो कुनै घर बनाउँदाखेरि युनिटी पिलर होल्ड्स द हाउस बिल्डिङ त्यस्तै कुनै व्यवस्था बनाउँदाखेरि युनिट पिलर त्यो वर्ल्ड त्यो विश्वको आर्थिक र राजनीतिक व्यवस्था बनाउनलाई पनि पिलर चाहिन्छ त्यो पिलरको पहिलो पिलर स्तम्भ इज वाट इज कल्ड इन्टरनेसनल मोनिटरी फन्ड IMF अनि दोस्रो पिलर इज विश्व ब्याङ्क तेस्रो पिलर इज वर्ल्ड ट्रेड अर्गनाइजेसन्स WTO र यदि राजनीतिक पनि ल्याउने हो भने चौथो चाहिँ संयुक्त राष्ट्र सङ्घ युनाइटेड नेसन्स दिज आर द 4 पिलर्स अन विच वर्ल्ड पोलिटिकल एन्ड इकोनोमिक अर्डर इज रेस्टेड लेट्स कम ब्याक टु फर्स्ट पिलर IMF को नेगोसिएसन भइरहँदाखेरि मुख्य यो दुईवटा कन्ट्रीको बिच भयो अमेरिका बेलायत अमेरिकाको नेगोसिएसन टिम वाज बिङ हेडेड बाई दिस गाइ कल्ड जन डेक्स्टर व्हाइट मिस्टर व्हाइट ब्रिटेन वाज बिङ लेड बाई जन मेनर्ड किन्स फर्स्ट क्लास इकोनोमिस्ट एन्ड व्हाइट वाज नोबडी in terms of knowledge, in terms of fame, in terms of stand. But then he had the gold. He had the power economy, the British economy was very weak. US economy was number 1. So त्यति बेला दुईटा देशको नेगोसिएसन हुँदाखेरि यसमा चाहिँ they were talking about क्यापिटलको मुभमेन्ट कसरी गर्ने एउटा देशबाट अर्को देशमा होइन अनि त्यो ट्रेड हुँदाखेरि ट्रेड ट्रान्ज्याक्सनको हुँदाखेरि कसरी अनि यसरी एउटा देशले अर्को देशले तिर्दाखेरि त्यो कसरी एउटा ब्याङ्कबाट अर्को ब्याङ्कसँग त्यो ट्रान्ज्याक्सन क्लियरेन्स हुन्छ अनि कुन करेन्सीमा आदान प्रदान गर्ने यो जम्मै कुराहरू त्यति बेला भएको थियो त्यो नेगोसिएसनमा आइरहेको थियो र त्यति बेला यो जन मेनर्ड किन्सले भनेको थियो कि लेट्स क्रिएट ए न्यू करेन्सी कल ब्याङ्कोर BANCOR ब्याङ्को होइन नोबडिज करेन्सी अनि त्यसमा चाहिँ वी विल डिभाइड त्यो अर्थव्यवस्था हेरेर होइन तिमीले यति पाउँछ तिमीले अनि त्यसैको आधारमा होइन अनि स्लोली त्यो कन्ट्रीको अर्थव्यवस्था बढेअनुसार त्यसको सप्लाई पनि बढ्दै जान्छ होइन त्यो ब्याङ्करको सप्लाई अनि त्यही अनुसार कोटा डिस्ट्रिब्युट भएर जान्छ then the system will work. That was Belayet. Tara, Mr. White, he wanted US currency to be the unit to carry that Antarashtra Ayat Niryat. You see, the one who holds gold sets the golden rules. So त्यसैले त्यो Maynard Keynes, his point was valid, but he could not prevail. So dollar was considered as a currency for international transactions. This was 1944.
So before that, के थियो? डलरलाई एस्टाब्लिश गर्नुभन्दा अगाडि ट्रेड कसरी भइरहेको थियो?
But remember, this was the war period.
Yeah.
And there was a the gold standard, goldसँग linkage थियो, gold standard थियो. त्यसपछि the whole trade was broken, होइन. So system was not really working from that angle, in that sense. Prior to, like I said, this was not the normal period. One major war just finished, another war already, you know. अब यो डलर चाहिँ there was a little bit more discussion, more reluctance, more हिचकिचाहट. अनि अमेरिकाले के भन्यो भने we will not print, without some guidance. किनकि त्यो प्रिन्ट गर्यो भने त धेरै त्यो it is unfair, त्यसैले we assure you that we will not print beyond limit or something. We will be guided by some whatever the policies, procedures, rules. Not only that, प्रत्येक $25 जसले दिन आउँछ त्यसलाई 1 ounce of gold चाहिँ हामी दिन्छौँ. This is a legal commitment. In other words, now that standard was set, $35 per ounce of gold. US संयुक्त राज्य अमेरिका stands ready. जसले $35 दिन्छ त्यसले 1 ounce दिन्छ.
So when you say कि धेरै प्रिन्ट गर्दिन भनेर जुन प्रमिस गर्यो, लेट्स से मसँग रिजर्भ गोल्डको छ भनेर भन्दा प्रिन्ट गर्न पाइयो होइन र, मसँग जतिको रिजर्भ छ त्यतिको भ्यालुको प्रिन्ट गर्न पाउनु पर्ने हो.
Okay. It should be backed by gold. त्यो पनि beyond चाहिँ thou shall not. होइन. अन्त त्यति बेला that's exactly what happened there. त्यो जुन कमिटमेन्ट गरेको थियो त्यो अनुसार भइदिएन. किनभने 1960s मा, यो भयो 1944 को कुरा हामी गर्दैछौँ. 1960s मा अमेरिकामा लिन्डन जोन्सन, द अमेरिकन US प्रेसिडेन्ट, त्यसले ग्रेट सोसाइटी भन्ने एउटा सोसियल रिफर्म ल्याएको थियो टु हेल्प द पोर, फुड एड फर द पोर, सेल्टर फर द पोर, हेल्थ फेसिलिटिज फर द पोर. एन्ड त्यसमा चाहिँ आई थिङ्क दे स्पेन्ट ह्युज अमाउन्ट अफ मनी, अबाउट $30 billion in those days. This was the Great Society by Lyndon Johnson. अनि त्यति बेला त्यो पनि अगाडि केनेडीको पालामा there was a huge space program to get man on the moon. And that they spent over $165 billion. $165 billion for man on the moon.
We're not talking about today's $165 billion.
No.
That's insane.
Yeah. And $30 billion for Great Society. Then massive expenses in Vietnam War. That broke the camel's back. त्यति भइसकेपछि the rest of the world, they are not blind. They started to suspect. I think the way Americans are spending money, I don't think they have equivalent gold to support that. The first country to lead that group was France. And the president was Charles de Gaulle. De Gaulle said, look, from the very beginning, he didn't like that exorbitant privilege being given to US. So tell me, look, that is the commitment. Here is my $300 million. I want my gold. He went. Normally, suppose I bought 100 tons gold. And then all I get is, now the owner is Omkar, and it is the physical amount is in Fort Knox, still in America. Just have the paper to claim that. De Gaulle said, does not make me happy. That won't enough. I want this to be physically transferred to Paris. And he did. Not only he did, he sent a battleship. It was a different days, different time. And that was de Gaulle. And France is always a little bit more independent. And that was quietly followed by Spain. They bought 30 million, 35 million. No, I'm sorry. Spain let 60 million gold.
So basically they had dollars in reserves. I'm going to give you back your dollars. Give me the equivalent amount of gold.
They had dollar.
So when we talk about like 300 million or one, is त्यो भन्दा धेरै नै उनीहरुसँग रिजर्भमा थियो होला नि त डलर्स त कि सबै नै डलर्स डिक्लेयर गर्दै हो
अनि त्यो पनि अलिअलि पनि बढी हुन सक्छ. That's why you had to have dollar. That's how it starts. Why you need to keep the international reserve. भइपरि आउँदाखेरि डेली ट्रान्ज्याक्सनको लागि पनि हैन, like France, Spain, any country, they would have to have a certain amount of dollar, otherwise you are bankrupt. And England wanted to buy $3 billion. America did not give. America and France, Belite, America, same language. Little bit of different relation, right? The details is not there, but anyway, they put a request, they didn't get it, they were not given. It was today, coming back to your question, it was 15 August 1971. आजको 53 वर्ष अगाडि, तर आजको दिन Nixon, America was frightened. Man, if I let it go like this, world Sara, God knows, it's all Timbuktu, every country is going to come here and ask, give my gold, right? And then he said, you know what he said? I have directed the Secretary of Treasury, Connolly, Secretary of Treasury, Arthamantri, Connolly, his name was Connolly. I have directed the Secretary of Treasury, Connolly, to suspend temporarily, quote unquote, temporarily, the convertibility of dollar into gold. And that temporarily still remains, has not been removed. So that's how dollar is still a global currency, but that assurance of linkage with gold is out. But the moment it is out, no linkage, no relation, what do you do with that dollar now? Not if it's a fiat currency now, means backed by nothing other than goodwill
and trust.
And trust. And it so happened, no choice, Mazburi ka naam, whatever. Okay, so त्यसपछि गोल्ड हुँदासम्मको त्यो चाम थियो त्यो नभएपछि डिमान्ड फर डलर आफूलाई चाहिने त लाग्छ तर पहिलेको जुन निडर भएर राखिन्थ्यो त्यसमा त अलि आँच आउने भयो हैन अब व्हाट फर त्यसले यु नो व्हाट दे डिड इन 1973 June, in the month of June 1973 Nixon went to Saudi Arabia and had a meeting with King of Saudi Arabia, Faisal, and they got into an agreement that from now on, all international transaction, sale and purchase of oil will be only in US dollar. अबदेखि सारा ओइल किन्ने बेच्ने जमिन खाली डलर मात्र हुनुपर्छ. Saudi Arabia was the cheap supplier. त्यसले हुन्छ भने हुन्छ. And now suddenly गोल्डको त्यो चाम नभए पनि ब्ल्याक गोल्ड आयो. अब ओइल त सारा संसारलाई चाहिन्छ. सारा संसारलाई ओइल चाहिन्छ भने ओइल चाहिनलाई डलर हुनु पर्यो. Now there's an infinite demand for dollar. Now again you are back to the driving seat, right? अनि त्यसको in return what Saudi Arabia got it, we will provide protection, military protection to your oil facilities, and we will also supply necessary military weaponry. So Saudi was happy. Why? Now you will ask, why? What has got to do with Saudi Arabia? Why will they so easily accept? Because of the timing. 1973, June, that was the time when there was a massive war between Arab and Israel, the 6-day Arab-Israeli war. So the fear of will something happen in the mind of Saudi Arabia was very real. So when America comes and gives that protections, they grabbed it. And America, that was a windfall gain for America. Now dollar and that power still remains. And just to give you one example, you know what happened in year 2000? There was a war in Iraq, right? America destroyed the whole thing. It was pushed the country back to Stone Age. You know why? Weapons of mass destructions.
Yeah.
We all believe that. There was a massive narratives everywhere. That was the time when Saddam Hussein was trying to do oil transaction in EU, European Union, EU, because EU was just being introduced by the European Union's EU currency. So when Saddam Hussein tried to shift transit from dollar to EU, the rest is history. Do I have to complete? Not it. You want another example?
Mm-hmm.
Libya. Libya wanted to transact oil in terms of gold.
Yeah.
So the rest is history. So therefore, why dollar becomes international currency, that still remains. But remember, it's very important. The East country must have very good backing of USD, otherwise it can destroy your economy, your currency. And that's exactly what happened in 1997. 1997, Thailand, the Western banks suspected that dollar adequate China one. And they wanted, exactly that's when they wanted, give our investment percent the dollar. they ran out. And the whole Asian crisis, financial crisis in 1997, it started from Thailand. And that flattened Southeast Asia, East Asia. We were still under, this is all part of the IMF we are talking about. World Economic Order कसरी हुन गयो, यो global currency कसरी भयो. It is all through the negotiation in IMF, and further developments.
Excuse me. Okay.
अब IMF को त्यो मात्र हैन, त्यति बेला अघि 1944 and now 2024, 80 years, and lot of water under the bridge. तर जुन किसिमले IMF त्यति बेला बनाइएको थियो, त्यसबाट nothing changed, as if the world remains status quo. In other words, let me come. You must remember, 1944 was India independent?
No, 1945 ma.
47
1947, right?
India
World War.
Was China? No. Was many countries in Asia, Africa, they were all under colony. And that's when this vyavastha was being made. They were not even in the table. Means no voice, no influence, no nothing. So who made? They made. When were they made? At a time when they were still under colony. So for whom it will be? Well, Krishna बसेपछि स्वाद लिइहाल्छ, हैन? त्यसैले त्यो IMF को बोर्डमा कसरी voting power share distribute गर्ने भन्दाखेरि, it all was done in a way much favorable to them. And त्यो अवस्था त्यो still intact, except for a marginal cosmetic changes. Let me give you some example. The quota. You see, I wish I could show that. China ko quota voting power 6.08. Japan ko 6.14. अलिकति हाई. तर चाइना को अर्थव्यवस्था 19 trillion. Japan ko 4 trillion. Yet Japan exercises slightly higher voting power in the board. Right? यो त सानो example. अर्को example दिन्छु. China को voting power 6.08. अनि Germany, UK, France, Italy, Holland, यो पाँचवटा देशलाई कम्बाइन गर्दाखेरि तिनीहरूको अर्थ 14 trillion. The economy 14 trillion. China को 19 trillion. The combined economy GDP of Germany, UK, France, Italy, Holland is 14 trillion vis-a-vis 19 trillion of China. 19 trillion of China. And the voting is 18.15 for the 5 countries and 6.08 for China. Does it make sense? Doesn't, right? But no change, still there. These are the figures you are still prevailing. About India, को economy 4 trillion, UK को 3 trillion, UK को voting power 4.03, India को 2.63. Oh, you go on and on and on. You can take South Korea, same. And any, or Brazil or Mexico, you take. So in other words, there are many things that need to be amended. Your voting power. Orko and US, the IMF ma कुनै पनि चीज को कुनै पनि program approve हुनुको लागि board बाट कम से कम 85% support हुनुपर्छ. Okay, these 6%, 4%, 2% all combined 85%. and US exercises 16.5%. Why did you smile? What does that mean to you? They exercise veto power. Because Sara Biswale support gare pani, it will come to 83.5. Because US has 16.5. And no other country has that power. And that veto remains. As if it is not enough, मानौँ कि अझै पनि पुग्दैन भने IMF को हेडलाई म्यानेजिङ डाइरेक्टर भन्छ कि सुरुदेखि अहिलेसम्म पनि by default it has got to be European. Why? The talent is the rest of the world, there's a talent shortage that they cannot run IMF or World Bank. So therefore, the managementमा चाहिँ त्यति बेलाको जुन मोरलेस कन्डिसन थियो, it remains the same, and all these other countries, as if they are not on the, they are part of the menu rather than they are on the table. Now countries are suggesting time to change, time to take the reality as it is and amend. And 2010 को IMF र World Bank को joint annual meeting सिङ्गापुरमा भएको थियो 2010 आजको 14 वर्ष अगाडि केही सुधारहरू त्यति बेला प्रमिस गरिएका थिए लागू भएको छैन. That was 14 years ago. त्यो योभन्दा अगाडिको म्यानेजिङ डाइरेक्टर क्रिस्टिन लगार्ड, अहिले सी द EU को गभर्नर छ युरोपियन ब्याङ्कको. When she was leaving IMF, she was saying, I hope I will be the last European managing director. त्यो कुरा भइरहेको थियो कि अरू देशलाई पनि चान्स दिनुपर्छ. इन्डियाको ट्यालेन्ट छैन, चाइनाको छैन, ब्राजिलको छैन. Her wish has not been fulfilled also. अहिले पनि we have European director, managing director.
So is this also one of the reasons of जुन हिसाबले अहिले ब्रिक्सको फर्मेसन भइरहेको छ, एउटा अल्टरनेटिभ खोजिरहेको छ?
I'll come to you. I'll come to you on that. But before I come to you on that, I don't want to say that IMF didn't play a good role. It has done well, except it didn't move along with time. त्यो भइदिएन भन्दाखेरि त then you are misfit. त्यो मात्र हैन, then certain countries, especially those with the global currency status, there is abuse and weaponization of the currency. त्यो त्यसले गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ सिस्टममा अझ धेरै आँच आइदियो कि when if a country suppose you want, त्यसैले त्यो जब वेस्टर्न कन्ट्रीजले तपाईलाई रुल बेस्ड वर्ल्ड इकोनोमिक अर्डर्स अनुसार चल्नुपर्छ भन्दाखेरि नि it sounds very good, rule based, of course rule based अनुसार चल्नुपर्छ. But now countries are questioning rule made by whom, when, for whom. Yes, rule अनुसार बस्नुपर्छ, तर रुल पनि टाइम अनुसार चेन्ज हुनुपर्छ वास्तविकतालाई प्रदर्शन गर्दै. त्यो त्यसैले रुल बेस्ड वर्ल्ड अर्डर भन्दाखेरि we got to be careful what does it mean by that term, हैन. अनि अब त्यसमा पनि नि अब आइएमएफमै पनि त्यो बोर्डमा जुन गइन्छ, they decide most of the time what kind of policy to be pursued by the borrowing country. 1997 को केस लियौँ, जब एसियन फाइनेन्शियल क्राइसिस भएर धरातल भएका थियो, त्यति बेला they went to IMF, right? The IMF ले दिएका कन्डिसन्सहरू, the cure was worse than the disease. जुन नगर धेरै खर्च नगर, अहिलेको टाइटनिङ पोलिसी युज गरेर, इन्ट्रेस्ट रेटलाई ज्याक गरेर, those banks who are not doing well, sell them off. All the who came to buy them? Western countries, Western banks at a bargain price. Okay, जुन त्यो नगर, you are helpless. You were really helpless. जुन पैसा, particularly Indonesia, 1997 को एक वर्ष अगाडिसम्म Indonesia was one of the darling countries of the World Bank as having done very well by Suharto. एकाएक 1997 मा सर political nepotism, corruption. That's why the country got into this problem. How did it change the narrative so drastically? So they had to do this. And the same happened. It all went to Thailand, Korea, Indonesia. These three countries got the major burnt. अब अरू एक दुई त देशमा जसलाई डलरको चाहिया हुन्छ तर टेम्पोररी डलर छैन, यु आर इन बिग, द्याट्स वेन द आइएमएफ इज फोर्सिङ यु. सपोज आइएमएफले 150 मिलियन तपाईँलाई दियो होइन, थाइल्यान्ड दियो, कोरियालाई, इन्डोनेसियालाई. लार्ज पार्ट अफ द मनी इज used to pay back the loan to the Western countries, Western banks, not for helping poor farmers in the country, to maintain the image, credibility. But anyway, त्यति बेला कोरियामा families started to sell their gold, whatever little gold they have, ornaments, to help the country, to national sense. And sure enough, they came back. 1997 देखि अहिले 2024 27 वर्ष भयो होइन. They vowed and they stayed to that vowing that we would never again to IMF, and they have never gone back. अनि अरू देशहरूलाई जापान, सिङ्गापुर, उता वेस्टर्न कन्ट्रिज संसारलाई चाहिँ तिमीलाई टेम्पोररी डलरको सर्टेज भयो भने स्वाप फेसिलिटी, ल $50 billion, just keep it if in case you need it. And India requested for it. Indonesia requested for a swap facility. No. That's only for certain countries, you know, they have their own reason. Only 1997, त्यसको 10 वर्षपछि 2007-2008 मा exactly same problem happened in the US, except it was much larger. So you are familiar with the global financial crisis.
Yep.
Now, त्यति बेला, first of all, the youth come up with their own tremendous, that was when they came up with that facility. And IMF ले जुन Asian countries हरूलाई नगर भनेको थियो, ठ्याक्कै उल्टा, exactly opposite policy recommendations.
Yeah.
Exactly, you know. त्यो 1997 भन्दाखेरि किन मोरल हजार्ड भनेको, त्यसरी कसरी त्यो राम्रो नभएको ब्याङ्कलाई सहायता गर्न थाल्यो भने अरू ब्याङ्कले पनि मलाई पनि केही प्रब्लम भयो भने त्यसलाई सहायता गरेपछि मलाई पनि देला.
But that's what the US did.
Moral hazard भनेर भन्छ कि त्यो argumentलाई. So what happened to that argument when it came to 2008? Threw out the window. Now, a lot of these countries are not blind. Now they can see it, that this IMF or these organizations is not working in our interest. Now that's where the board must also voting powers, there should be, and there should be reform, there should be amendments. Sanction पनि security, national security for the US, त्यसको नाममा भइरहेछ, or whatever. You never know, that has never been defined.
So when you talk about weaponization of dollars, few instances मलाई थाहा छ. For example, recently रसियाको केसमा गर्यो, right? And then I think Iran पनि त्यो केसमा पर्छ होला.
No. It has been under for years.
धेरै पहिलादेखि. I mean, like Iran पनि, it's one of the cases. अरू कसरी गरेछ, अरू के गरेछ, sanctionsको, किनभने like again, it's one thing when a currency is your currency and you apply these rules. But then this is a currency, it's not just your currency, it's a global currency पनि. But something like this गर्दाखेरि अहिले त world order change पनि भइसक्यो. China is rising, India is rising, अरू countries are आइसक्यो on the table. How is the US still able to maintain this weaponization act of the dollar?
No, wait. Many countries under the sanction list. As a matter of fact, recently, U.S. Treasury Department has advertised they needed one sanction specialist. The position of sanction.
So who to sanction, who not to sanction?
Or how to sanction, who, whom, how long, how. So, and one staff from IMF applied and got it. But by the same token, those countries which are under sanctions for a long time, they are also advertising sanction buster.
Okay.
Because तपाईँ 12 फुटको पर्खाल बनाउनुस्, म 15 फुटको भर्याङ लिएर आउँला, हैन? So that's exactly what is happening. In other words, this doesn't make sense, frankly, isn't it? Promotion को सत्ता त्यो restriction भइरहेछ हैन. त्यो पनि you don't know why. Of the Western values ma bhayen. What is that Western values? And they are very fond of calling universal values. There is no one-size-fit definition for universal values. My value could be ethics, hard work, discipline, honesty, morality. And yours could be individual freedom. Mine could be social. So, as a matter of fact, Samuel Huntington, he's a Harvard professor, and he has written a book called The Class of Civilization. It is immoral, it is false, it is wrong. 3 arguments. Page 310, please look that book. Because I liked it so much when he put it so emphatically. It is wrong, it is fallacious, it is false, it is immoral. The Class of Civilization, page 310. So anyway, तपाईँले भन्नुभयो त्यो $300 billion त्यो युक्रेनको त्यसमा हैन. That really was, again, almost like we don't know yet, almost like a last straw on the back, iron in camel's back.
Straw that broke the camel's back.
त्यो हुन साथै अरु हैन कि first of all, America didn't get what it thought it would get to break the.
Oh yeah.
You see, the economic sanction. When you say sanction, that's 10 times worse than the military use of power. No, that destroys the economy. त्यसैले त्यो भइदिएन किनकि at the end of the day, Russian economy, it may be weak, but it's large. It has its own civilizations, So that भइदिएन. दोस्रो त्यो भन्दा पनि what America really lost is the trust and faith of the rest of the world. As it happened to them, and mind you, it's not a small country like us, it's a big country, big nation. Russiaलाई त्यस्तो आज हुन सक्छ भने अरु देशलाई नहोला भने के भन्न सकिन्छ? Things like that you never know. When these small things put together, एकैचोटि त्यो आउँछ, then you don't know where the punch comes from. मेरो विचारमा त्यो अमेरिकाको यो स्टेपले चाहिँ it already cost them much more non-quantifiable losses. Maybe even more. In future गएर जब अब हेर्नुस् China at one time their reserve was the largest, $3.3 trillion reserve at a time when Indian economy was $2 trillion. China's reserve was bigger than the entire Indian economy because the trust was still there. Then next it was Japan. अहिले China, just recently in March, they sold $53 billion, the treasury. After all, came in to मैले तपाईलाई यो एक्सपोर्ट अमेरिकालाई एक्सपोर्ट गरेँ तर अमेरिकाले के गर्छ पैसा दिन्छ फेरि म के गरौँ कहाँ लगानी गरौँ I give back to you and what will you give me? Treasury bonds. After 5 years I'll give you 3% interest. Now China is offloading. अहिले China's dollar holding is less than $800 some billion, $870 billion something. And Japan is also selling, but still little more than 1 trillion. Now the question is, जसले पहिले जहाँबाट major source of demand थियो treasury को, हैन, त्यो सुक्दै गयो. अनि तिनीले किन्न छोड्यो. भन्ना साथै demand for dollar to that extent is now shrinking. So you cannot print and get the money. हैन? त्यो किनकि अब त्यो डिमान्ड आइरहेको छैन अझ त्योभन्दा पनि भएको सप्लाई पनि म्याच्योर हुनासाथ out. So what will happen to your currency now? The global demand for your currency यदि सबैले त्यसै गर्न थाल्यो भने now you are in trouble. अब कति टाइम लाग्छ you and I, we don't know. Agadiको question why it's so still strong. Yeah, this is 80 वर्ष पुरानदेखिको यो giant, त्यसले it'll take a big hit before it falls. And तर अर्को कुरा के भने डलर ट्रेजरी बन्ड्स यो मात्र हैन कि other associated infrastructure. By that I mean insurance. When I export to you and you import from me, there's an insurance for your protection, for my protection. And that is still, तपाईले मलाई चाहिँ मेरो करेन्सीमा दिएला, म तपाईलाई तपाईको करेन्सी म दिन्छु, डलर इज आउट भए पनि त्यो शिपिङको लागि, ट्रान्सपोर्टको लागि त डलरै गइरहेछ. शिपिङ कम्पनीले त डलरै माग्छ, इन्सुरेन्स कम्पनीले त डलरै माग्छ. अथवा मैले तपाईँले दिएको पैसा क्लियर गर्नु पऱ्यो भने वेस्टर्न ब्याङ्कै होला जाउँ होइन, टप ब्याङ्क्सहरू त तिनीबाट क्लियर हुनु पऱ्यो. न्युयोर्क ब्याङ्क, ब्याङ्क अफ अमेरिका, म्यानहाटन होइन. त्यसैले अरू देयर आर मेनी अदर दिस थिङ होइन, त्यसले त्यो क्लियरेन्सलाई चाहिँ स्विफ्ट भन्छ क्या. त्यहाँ द्याट स्विफ्ट मेकानिजम इज भेरी पावरफुल. चाइना रसियालाई स्विफ्टबाट आउट गरिदियो नि. So that means no Western bank will accept any of your transactions. So that's economic strangulations. And there are many other factors they are still holding. But the main fact is when demand for US Treasury bond starts to fall and your capacity to issue the money that you need for Ukraine, for Gaza, for this, for that, that will shrink. And on top of that, your debt is, last year, this time it was 33. Now, this time, 35.2 trillion. 35.2 trillion. त्यसमा हेर्नुहोस्, अमेरिकाको बजेटमा के हुन्छ भने या तपाईँ खर्च घटाउनुहोस् या तपाईँ आम्दानी बढाउनुहोस् होइन. खर्च घटाउँ कसरी? जम्मा 3 भाग हुन्छ. यो त म्यान्डेटरी खर्च, सोसियल मेडिकेयर, सोसियल हेल्थ के छ तिनीहरूको, मेडिकल मेडिहेल्थ है, यु कान्ट कट. अर्को चाहिँ पेन्सन, अर्को तलब, then your military and others. So many items are a holy cow, you can't touch. Okay, खर्च घटाउन सकिएन, आम्दानी त बढाइएला. कसरी? ट्याक्सका लागि the rich are again another holy cow. So उताबाट पनि अलिक कन्स्ट्रेन्ट आइरहेछ. डिमान्ड फर यो ट्रेजर बन्ड अल्सोबाट पनि कन्स्ट्रेन्ट आइरहेछ. So it will, like I said, it may not happen tomorrow. Frankly, we are talking about a big thing. It's not something to be taken lightly. But you know the directions, where it is heading. The speed we don't know, the destination time we don't know, but where it is heading is a bit uncomfortable.
So, अघिको question, like the rise of BRICS, so त्यो कहाँबाट आयो? Where is it? Is that heading now? किनभने like powerful countries हरू BRICS को formation को लागि सँग आएको छन्.
Now you see, के भन्छ त्यसलाई? If you can't, the first best thing would have been amendment. Let the system, you have the Bretton Woods system, it has helped so long, and let's respect time and make the amendment along with time, and let's keep it. That was the best scenario. Now, clearly, you are forced to come up with alternatives. You see, there is something called, even before BRICS, there is something called AIIB, Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, headquartered in Beijing. Asia, the main source of demand for US Treasury bond is Asia. In Korea, Japan, Singapore, China, India, because these are the exporting countries to the rest of the world. To surplus. त्यसैले ती कन्ट्री यहाँ एसियाको डिमान्ड फर इन्फ्रास्ट्रक्चर is about 1.6 trillion according to Asian Development Bank per year. Now, Asian countries are thinking, instead of investing in US Treasury bond for 2%, 3% rate of return, might as well use in infrastructure now. Now, your saving, your investment in infrastructure. Now, it's already 105 countries are the members of AIIB. Now, the reason I brought this before break, this could be another pillar for the new order that's being built. You may not see it that way, but that's how it will function. Just like the AI, what the World Bank used to do now, this is additional pillar. It's not in place of, it's not replacing World Bank, not in place, but in complement, in supplement. Yeah? And so this is just like any other international bank. Then there's BRICS New Development Bank. Headquarters, Shanghai. पहिला अगाडि जम्मै हेडक्वार्टर IMF, Washington. Headquarter World Bank, headquarter UN, New York. Now Beijing now slowly shifts to Asian countries. You know, New Development Bank. As a matter of fact, New Development Bank, AIIB, and some of the countries, some of the banks, they were financing, according to World Bank, some 80% of the infrastructure demand, investment need. Not totally controlled by China. So don't be misled. It's like I mean, no. In other words, it's a veto-less. It is much more freer. त्यसैले अहिले we have AIIB, we have BRC go to New Development Bank, then we have BRIC, BRICS. BRICS recently there's 5 more countries that have joined. More than that have joined, the oil-rich countries like Saudi, UAE, so we don't know how it expands, how it where it goes, and now they are starting to. Now there was I don't think it is done yet, but there was a rumor I read whether the agreement has been terminated. The petrodollar. Petrodollar is the dollar that comes out of selling oil in dollar. To agreement ma bhairach haina. Whether Saudi has kept it or terminated, we don't. That was not clear. But there's you hear sometimes something about this. So these countries have joined, and many countries have indicated their interest. So त्यस्तै त भइदियो भने नि, then again it could be another pillar. Then you see. Then we have BRI, Belt and Road Initiative, $1.4 trillion. You know, there is something called Marshall Plan. I don't know whether you have heard that. This was right after World War II to help the European countries to rebuild the economy. That was $13 billion. Today's price, $130 billion. This is 1.4 trillion. 3, 4, 5 times bigger than Marshall Plan. So China seems to think very big, very long. Do you know, Sushant, China has 70 years plan from 1980 to 2050. So they don't, it's not like our politician whose time horizon is tomorrow or at the most next elections. But in nation, if you are a true leader, LKY, Lee Kuan Yew, go for the vision for 20 years, 30 years, one generation, and try to see what is not visible. That's the vision. And you convince your people, you convince your crowd why it is good, and this may involve some cost, but I'm willing to give up my immediate cost if it is for a long-term gain. Short-term pain, so be it, if it gives me long-term gain. When you start in the childhood, that's exactly what you are doing. Man, I would love to play with my children friends, but I control myself and lock myself in my room. Why? Long-term. This is China's धेरै plan, AIIB, China Initiative, BRICS, China Initiative, New Development Bank, product of BRICS, BRI. Now, the massive campaign against BRI, it's a death trap. It's a death trap. It's a WMD. WMD, it was not. So it is death trap, totally nonsense. There was a report by State Department. That was the report, I have it here somewhere, that first used that word.
Death trap.
Death trap. And there are so many studies coming out from the research think tanks in America saying that why it is not. So, but the damn problem is, what? They बार-बार एउटै कुरालाई झुट बोल्दै बोल्दै गयो भने झुट becomes सत्य क्या?
Yeah.
People start believing it. And this is BRI. It's a massive multi-generational. It is a multi-centuries. It is an intercontinental project already included in the Constitution of China. So it's not going to be here today, gone tomorrow. It's a part of Constitution now. And it's not Xi Jinping. It's way beyond Xi Jinping. It's not one president's term. It's a revival of the ancient Silk Road into a modern Silk Road. And frankly, you know why? This certainly, as far as China is concerned, is a tremendous benefit for them also. While linking to the rest of the world, it's good for all, but also to China because now they know where to use that surplus resources that used to keep locked in USD. Now you can use in all this infrastructure, and you have experience, construction experience. 85,000 kilometers of infrastructure in China, 4 times bigger than the Americans. And 12,000 kilometers from Cape Town to Cairo by the Americans, by the Chinese. So therefore, their Western, the market mechanism, that government is good, that governs the least. Government is not the solution, government is the problem, therefore it depends solely on market, invisible hand. Now we are not going to accept that. That may be okay for you. And after all, our history is different in terms of length, in terms of our cultural and economic context, resource context. So if you are happy with only market principle, even though what market did to you in 2008, for the large number of other countries, we need the invisible hand of market. We also need the visible hand of the government. So after all, the one with the two hands is always better than one with only one hand. So a lot of these countries, Singapore, China, Korea, all these countries, they had a tremendous role in their national development played by the state. So for China, why they came with BRI? And they have the resources now, they have the construction equipment, they have the construction experience, and they have the expertise, they have everything required for that kind of venture. But I know, I understand that BRI is a little bit controversial here, but I don't know why. Just when you look at generally, you are a landlocked country. The first thing you need is a connection. I am suffocating, right? So I want the window, I want the door, I want the fresh air. If something comes to connect me with the rest of the world, I need that. And Japan, Sushant, through this program of yours, I really want to emphasize very, very, very strongly that let's get out of this begging mentality. Grant ma paun. And this is the first thing, this was the first thing Lee Kuan Yew did. They changed the mindset of the people. No begging mentality. The world does not owe us a living. We got to stand on our own feet. And I'm not going to say, what's in for me, or is this a grant? No. Even if it's not grant, so what? Make the best use of the loan. Korea did that. Many other countries did it by borrowing, but making good use of what you borrow, not pocketing, not. So we have these different institutions coming up. You call them, I don't know, you could call them, what do you call? Pillar, you could call them in the making of the new system, or the supplementary to the existing system. But as far as the rest of the world is concerned, other countries is concerned, it's good. यदि बढी चोइस भयो भने हामीलाई नै फाइदा हैन। आज चाहिँ AIIB भएपछि पहिले चाहिँ वर्ल्ड ब्याङ्कमै जानु पर्थ्यो अथवा AIIBमा जानु पर्थ्यो, अर्को त नयाँ आउँछ भने वाइ नट। सो वी हेभ इट वान मोर चोइस वेयर यु वान्ट टु shop from. So अब AIIB आयो हैन, त्यसमा पनि अमेरिका डिड इट्स बेस्ट टु स्टप अदर countries from joining it. America put a lot of pressure. Japan is not a member of AIIB. Perhaps the whole Asian countries minus Japan. And yeah, India is member. India is not member of BRI, but member of AIIB.
Japan's like, a member?
America.
Okay.
America put pressure. But interestingly, America and UK is so close. I think it was Cameron's time, David Cameron's time. He quickly joined AIIB to the dismay of the Americans. Why? Because by joining AIIB, suddenly you have tremendous business opportunities. The road construction, this kind of energy constructions, procurement, the contract, and consultancy. It's business opportunities. When you look at this, AIIB, Americans said, we don't need it. Because they will not be there. The argument given was, they will not stick to the same environmental standard as the World Bank. They will not have the same good governance as the World Bank. But the sad part is because of the bad governance in the existing system that they had to be created. And त्यो मात्र हैन, there are many other cases. Asian Development Bank, जब आउन लाग्यो थियो, त्यसलाई पनि अमेरिकाले रोक्न लाग्यो थियो। अब त्यो 1997 को क्राइसिस पछि IMF देखि दिकदार भएर एसिया वान्टेड टु क्रिएट एशियन मोनेटरी फन्ड AMF, त्यसलाई रोकिदियो अमेरिकाले। अब BRI आयो, त्यसलाई पनि रोक्न खोज्यो। Just that they could not, but they did try. Like I said, now 155 countries on BRI, 105 countries on AIIB. And I have a list of things that Asia wanted to do something where America said, no, they put a foot down. In mid-80s, Toshiba was coming out with a very strong semiconductor, chips, during Reagan's time. You know what? It was stopped. Doesn't that remind you what happened in 2018, Huawei? History. 1985, there was something called Plaza Accord. Because that's the G5, the G7 G5 countries meeting. And that was the time when Japan and Germany was brought under tremendous severe pressure by the Americans to upgrade their currencies, to make their product very expensive. That resulted into multi-decade stagnation, the lost decade for Japan. And they wanted to do the same to China. China said nothing doing.
What happened with Japan actually? Yeah, I know electronics, Japan was synonymous with electronics and excelling in this industry.
The reason given was that chips, because see, when you say electronics, essentially it is chips. Every iPhone, everything that you are talking about is how powerful is your chips. Now, this was Toshiba, they were number one at that time. I think Taiwan, Korea, Japan, China is trying. On what if Japan sells that technology to Russia? You can't make any. The Americans said that's a security threat for the Americans. So, Japan was forced to drop it. So, yeah, there are cases in history when you look at it. This is कुनै चीज हुन्छ, it has a reason. Just like the Petro agreement, Saudi Arabia किन agree गर्यो? Because there was a war going on. त्यति बेला अझ तपाईले सोध्नुभयो 71 मा कसरी त्यो डिलिङ भयो हैन? 71 मा, you know what, China was still under cultural revolution. India was completely stuck in Bangladesh war with East Pakistan. Remember, that was the year when Bangladesh was created. Now, even otherwise, they were not very strong at that time. But the history somehow, they're all linked.
So whenever there's a desperate situation, त्यतिखेर चाहिँ you corner your opponent and त्यसपछि twist their arm, basically गरे त्यही हो.
अनि त्यो national, त्यो you see, Samuel Huntington, okay? Again, coming back to him. त्यसले आफ्नो किताबमा के भन्छ भने there were 16 times in the past 500 years when an emerging power suddenly is being seen as a threat by the established power. Okay? Only 4 cases where they sort of amicably, peacefully they sorted out. And 12 cases, it resulted in violence. And that trap when suddenly you feel that you can't withdraw, you can't back. And it could be very small, unassuming thing, but it leads to that. So that is called Thucydides trap. The best thing for the world, for humanity, is to avoid that trap. It is, and we know. No, we don't know. We really hope that we don't. Our humanity's maturity, sophistication, will stop us from forcing ourselves to that point. And hopefully, peace will prevail. And there's always, the world is too big for all the countries to prosper together, to expand together. The world is passing through some vulnerable phases. There are many the Xi Jinpingले भन्थ्यो कि there are decades when nothing happens. There is 1 month when centuries happen. So we are passing through one of those moments. Things are happening too fast, too quick. But as you can see it, if these reforms take place, and these are the requests for amendment and reform in these institutions, is very, very logical, and very reasonable. So that can be sorted out. But sometimes the media, the hypes, the pressure, that's where the leadership should come out. And not be led by the crowd, but lead the crowd and explain this is not the way, this is the way. Tell you what, I got stuck in the first pillar. I didn't come to second pillar of the World Economic Order, the World Bank, and the third pillar, WTO.
Let's take a short break and then we'll go.
Okay.
Right. Okay, so first pillar सकाउनुभन्दा अगाडि चाहिँ दुईटा कुरा एउटा भनेको there's a list of 1340 page को sanction को list छ अनि अर्को नाम आउँछ advanced physics laboratories को के हो यो दुईटा कम्बिनेसन
You surprised me by saying today is the 15th August, something big happens 53 years ago, and I was surprised. How do you know? Now you are surprising me. What is this advanced physics lab? These are many people may not be familiar with this thing, because it's very special, very specific. There's a book. It is in that book, and this is given in detail. You see, like I said, the system, the World Economic Order, it did very good, and many countries prospered quite well. But the only problem is that along with the developments that have been taking place in the rest of the world, and their voice and their inputs required to be inserted in the management of these pillars, IMF, World Bank, WTO, that was not being done. So therefore, the World Economic Order as it exists now had to be amended, not resisted with the changes required. त्यो हुँदाखेरि there's a little bit of dissatisfaction among other countries, particularly the big economies. This on top of that, and some of the facility that comes together with that institutions, like IMF in this case, for the US as a global currency issuing country, those extra power started to be misused or abused. And they started to be used almost like a weapon. Now, just to give you one example, as you said, what is this advanced APL, Advanced Physics Lab in New York? This was, I think, around 2008, around that time. And the writer, who wrote that book, I forget the name, Dollar or something, he was invited in this APL. And he's a finance specialist. And he goes inside, then suddenly he finds that there was a war strategy being developed. And they were together with that finance guy, there were many others. Each had their own respective role, and he was given his role. And the whole purpose was for this financial expert was to use non-military knowledge, in this case finance, as a weapon. What physical weapons, the damage done by physical weapons could be visible, could be quantifiable, how many people were dead, killed, or all that. But this financial instrument used as a weapon, but the damage is non-quantifiable and perhaps invisible because strangulation of the industry. You don't see it, but it is there happening. People losing the job, So his was, suppose in that strategy, now if this military strategy, this angle doesn't work as envisaged, or if we don't want to use that instrument, non-military equipment as a weapon, what can be done from finance in terms of, say, squeezing, or in terms of, say, putting more pressure on the country? Like there's a list of countries under sanctions, right? So not only sanctions or a freeze, or several other ways where you can use finance as a mode of putting pressure on the other side. So this APL that you're asking, and then this guy was being invited in that APL for that role, so that the policymakers can see, okay, so the non-military options also could be as effective or even more effective than military case, depending on situation to situations. That's what APL was done. And you sanction ko case ma pani, apart from this, the list of countries where US has been imposing sanctions for various reasons, starting from human rights violations in the way they see it, or trade practices, or subsidies, or intellectual property rights, or their national security threat, whatever. In multiple names, sanctions are being used on a number of countries, and in many cases for a long period. As a matter of fact, apart from this, they also have a list of what they call specially designated nationals. SDN list, specially designated nationalist list. Your list no paryo when you are finished. Yes, यो यसमा परेकोले व्यक्तिहरूले या संस्थाहरूले या देशले हैन देशको लागि सेपरेट छन् हैन व्यक्ति अथवा संस्थाहरू यो लिस्टमा पर्यो भने अमेरिकाको कुनै पनि अमेरिकामा त हैन स्याङ्सन र सब स्याङ्सन भनेको डाइरेक्टली त्यो देशलाई सब स्याङ्सन भनेको त्यो मार्फत अरू देशसँग त्यसले गर्न लागेको ट्रेड अथवा कुनै कनेक्सन त्यसलाई त्यसमा पनि स्याङ्सन युज हुन्छ. इन अदर वर्ड्स रसाबाट किनिन तर बेलायतबाट किन्यो भने तर बेलायत र रसाको कुनै रसियन इनपुट पर्यो भने द्याट्स अल्सो इन्क्लुडेड अन्डर स्याङ्सन्स, सब स्याङ्सन्स. त्यो एसडिएन लिस्टमा चाहिँ त्यसो जम्मै दिएको छ होइन. अनि त्यसमा पऱ्यो भने चाहिँ त्यसको अमेरिकन ब्याङ्कमा एकाउन्ट खोल्नु पाएन, त्यो संस्थाले ट्रेड गर्न पाएन, त्यो संस्थाले कुनै पनि मेनी एक्टिभिटिज दे आर बी डिनाइड अफ And त्यो लिस्ट इज आर यु रेडी 1340 पन्नाको छ 1340
सो यसमा मान्छेहरूको नाम हो कि अर्गनाइजेसनहरूको नाम हो
दुबई for instance the military advisor of Putin man he's finished नाम संस्था दुनियाँभरको छ त्यसमा कि I haven't seen the book itself, it's just the reading this. So यसरी त्यो वर्ल्ड इकोनोमिक अर्डरको त्यो व्यवस्था नि फेसिलिटी पनि दिइएको छ कि त्यसबाट कसरी रन गर्ने सिस्टमलाई वर्ल्ड इकोनोमिक अर्डरलाई तर साथसाथै त्यसलाई कसरी ट्विस्ट गर्न सकिन्छ बाई एब्युजिङ अर मिसयुजिङ त्यो पनि हुँदाखेरि अलि धेरै देशले चाहिँ लाइक ह्युमन राइटको केसमा त्यो ह्युमन राइट when you talk about the human right, how about human responsibilities? कति देशमा चाहिँ ह्युमन राइट भन्दा पनि ह्युमन रेस्पोन्सिबिलिटीको त्यतिकै इम्पोर्टेन्स दिएको हुनुपर्छ बिकज इफ यु सिक अथोरिटी यु मस्ट बी प्रिपेयर फर एकाउन्टेबिलिटी इफ यु वान्ट राइट यु मस्ट बी लायबल टु गिभ रेस्पोन्सिबिलिटिज एज वेल सो त्यो त वान साइड मात्रै गरेर त भएन होइन फेरि जसलाई तपाईँ ह्युमन राइट्स भन्नुहुन्छ मेरो ह्युमन राइट अर्कै हुनसक्छ मेरो घरमा चाहिँ इफ मेरो बच्चाबच्चीहरू चाहिँ भोकले सुत्न पाएको छैन बिरामीलाई औषधि दिनु पाएको छैन मेरो ह्युमन राइट के त इट्स नट फर फ्री भोट आई वुड प्रेफर अ रुफ फर माई चिल्ड्रेन द फुड फर माई स्टार्भिङ चिल्ड्रेन भोकाएको बच्चालाई खाना बिरामी भएकोले औषधि द बेसिक निड त चाहियो नि द्याट इज माई ह्युमन राइट फर्स्ट त्यो त्यसैले त्यो अलि दिस इज सब्जेक्ट टु डिस्कसन्स तर अनफर्चुनेटली यो 1989 को त्यो कोल्ड वार सकिएपछि जब सोभियत युनियन चाहिँ डिजल्भ हो अनि त्यति बेला स्ट्यानफोर्डको प्रोफेसर फ्रान्सिस फुकुयामा he wrote a paper then later on he developed that paper into a book the end of history last man त्यसमा चाहिँ के भन्यो भने अब Russia is finished. अब सारा विश्वमा these are the big coal power को चाहिँ टसल भइरहेको थियो. Now with that gone, the मानवको इतिहासमा in the human history, political evolution को यो चरम सीमा हो प्रजातन्त्र democratic system, liberal democratic system, the free market, free speech and all that. त्यसैले यहाँ आएर इतिहास टुङ्गिन्छ. This is the end of history.
This is the pinnacle one.
This is the pinnacle and there's no more top, no more our shikhar China. The end of history. That's a very tall claim. And the Americans started to believe. And the readers. And frankly, and America has that to that they are an exceptional country and that they have a mission to carry. That they have, the Statue of Liberty, bring your hungry and poor people to me, that sort of the zeal to convert the rest of the world in its own image.
The moral flag bearer, in a way.
Yeah, flag bearer of the whole humans. But Bhagwanle exceptionally nagari pani testo चाहिँ I don't know. The optionless त्यो बाहेक अरू अप्सनै छैन. Even भगवानको त विकल्प छ here. So it's very difficult to believe that this system has no other alternative. साँच्चै भन्ने हो भने जब अधिकार खोज्दाखेरि त्यसको जिम्मेवारी दायित्व पनि उत्तिकै इम्पोर्टेन्ट हुन्छ कि त्यसैले कता नि यदि किशोर विभागले भन्थे के त्यसको the Singaporean intellectual यदि Statue of Liberty न्युयोर्कमा छ भने let there be Statue of Responsibility in San Francisco. Yeah, coast to coast. You know one thing, Sushant, 1997, 47 मा चाहिँ यो UN को ह्युमन राइट्सको डिक्लेरेसन भयो हैन. त्यसको 50औं वर्षको सेलिब्रेसन or commemoration हुँदाखेरि 1997 मा and they had a human rights celebration and the earlier the ex-chancellor Helmut Kohl and the group ex-prime minister of Canada Pierre Trudeau and Malcolm Fraser from Australian prime minister and what's his name the Russian president. The 1989 happened in his time. The Cold War. What's his name?
Stalin?
No. Cold War सक्यो नि त्यसको anyway. Mikhail Gorbachev. Okay. Yeah. Gorbachev. All these were there, giving their voice, saying that this is they were drafting the human responsibilities, UN Declaration of Human Responsibilities. To me, that would have completed the picture. Right, human right, that's one side of the coin. The takka ko ek side ho, paisa ko ek coin ko ek side. Arko side of the coin ke ta responsibility दायित्व हैन. You know what? To draft गर्न दिएन, discuss गर्न दिएन UN मा. The NGOs and some Western governments, जुन हामीलाई जसलाई हामी केही महत्त्व दिन्छौँ त्यो जिम्मेवारी साइडमा, that was not important for the West. So त्यसले त्यो भ्याल्यु सिस्टम नि हामी त्यसमा चाहिँ फरक छ क्या. त्यसैले त्यो एपिएल पनि त्यो एब्युज हुन गएको थियो कि त्यति बेला. र अहिले we are where we are now. अब यो भो, we are still talking about the first pillar of the World Economic Order, IMF. The second pillar is বিশ্ব Bank. They called it International Bank for Reconstruction and Development, IBRD. This is the दोस्रो स्तम्भ, विश्व व्यवस्थाको दोस्रो स्तम्भ. यसमा चाहिँ पहिलो स्तम्भमा त्यसले के गर्यो, तिनीहरूले those who drafted the rules, हैन, तिनीहरूले के गर्यो, जसले नियम बनायो तिनीहरूको लागि they control the finance part, because the whole financial policies कसरी के गर्ने कहाँ गर्ने तिनीहरू control गर्ने, that they did under IMF. अब विकास सम्बन्धी नीतिहरू हुन्छ हैन, सब्सिडी दिने नदिने, गभर्नमेन्टको रोल कति हुन्छ, प्राइभेट सेक्टरलाई कति फ्रिडम दिने, मार्केटलाई कति इम्पोर्टेन्स दिने, मार्केट ब्याक गभर्नमेन्टले अर्थव्यवस्था चलाउने कि प्राइभेट सेक्टरलाई दिने, यी कुराहरू त चाहिन्छ. यी जम्मैलाई कन्ट्रोल गर्नलाई डेभलप विश्व ब्याङ्क, IMF फाइनेन्सियल पार्ट, विश्व ब्याङ्क डेभलपमेन्ट पार्ट. त्यसैले सो दिस इज द सेकेन्ड पिलर. यसमा प्रब्लम के भइदियो भने यसै त्यो जुन अहिले मैले भने त्यो प्राइभेट सेक्टरलाई इम्पोर्टेन्स दिने, गभर्मेन्टलाई मिनिमम रोल दिने, सब्सिडी नहुने, फ्री मुभमेन्ट अफ क्यापिटल, जहाँ चाहिँ देशमा इन्स्टिट्युसनल रेडिनेस प्रिपेयरनेस होस् नहोस् हैन, यो जम्मै the Western values, जसलाई put together they call Washington Consensus. It's a consensus made in Washington Consensus. Now, त्यति बेला त अलि जब रेस्ट अफ द वर्ल्डको भोइस अलि कमजोर थियो, मधुर थियो हैन, त्यतिको ठुलो हुन पाएको थिएन. We have no choice but to accept it. It was accepted. But now slowly they said no. Washington Consensus मा चाहिँ हामी त्यतिको, we have other things to worry about also. Just again, 1997 पछि त they really didn't want to talk about Washington Consensus. Especially 2008 मा गएर जब तिनले ठ्याक्कै उल्टो गरेपछि त न हिपोक्रेसीको पनि चरमसम्म भएनन् भने हैन. How do you explain that? त्यसैले यो वाशिङटन कन्सेन्सस थ्रु वर्ल्ड ब्याङ्क, त्यसमा पनि अलि आपत्ति हुन्छ. दोस्रो स्तम्भको कुरा भइरहेछ. जसरी पहिलो स्तम्भमा चाहिँ अलिकति अब धर्मरायको लक्षण देखियो, त्यस्तै नै अब विश्व ब्याङ्कमा पनि त्यस्तै भइरहेछ. फेरि अर्को कुरा के भने वाशिङटन कन्सेन्सस मात्र नभइकन पनि when you look at the World Bank lending operation, त्यसले वर्ल्ड ब्याङ्कले जुन पैसा दिन्छ यो सदस्य देशहरूलाई, मेम्बर कन्ट्रिजहरूलाई, you will find अक्सर सफ्ट सेक्टरलाई दिया हुन्छ क्या. Institutional building, capacity building, the ethnic minorities, education, health, important छैन भने हैन, तर त्यो भन्दा पनि धेरै इम्पोर्टेन्ट चाहिँ हामीलाई चाहिँ फिजिकल इन्फ्रास्ट्रक्चर, हार्डवेयर के, सफ्टवेयर मात्र होइन, हार्डवेयर. वी निड द रोड, पोर्ट, ब्रिजेस, हाइवेज, इनर्जी, हाइड्रो पावर, इरिगेसन हैन. When you look at that, you'll be surprised. Africa is about 10 to 12% of the total lending by the World Bank. for infrastructure and 4 to 5% for the Asian countries in infrastructure. जबकि China के त infrastructure first, especially in the early stage of development. That's what Korea did. All those countries that developed, Korea, Vietnam, Singapore, China, first they go heavily in infrastructure for connection. The World Bank was a very limit when you look at the figures. That's when this AIIB comes. That's when BRI comes. In BRI, the whole Africa is being connected, the whole Central Asia. तर फ्रेङ्कली अर्को कुरा यो BRI को सम्बन्धमा अघि भन्न नपाएको के भने इसी चाइनाको 70% of the oil and gas come from Strait of Malacca. Strait of Malacca भनेको सिङ्गापुर मलेसियाको बिचमा सानो नेक छ त्यहाँबाट पास हुन्छ for China. र 60% of its trade from that Strait of Malacca. त्यसले चाहिँ East Asia भनेको जापान, कोरिया, China, all those countries, it joins to Europe via Middle East. And the only way. And that's China's vulnerability. Actually, hill भन्छ नि त्यसलाई कन्ट्रोल गर्न सक्छ त चाइनालाई मर्का पर्छ. Clearly China wants alternative. So त्यसैले they want त्यो जहाजको त्यो पानीको त्यो mode of transport बाहेक through road connections through Central Asia for alternative. That could be another long-term purpose for China, for BRI. So for China को लागि Strait of Malacca is a vulnerability, हैन. And त्यसलाई के क्रा इस्थमस भन्ने छ त्यहाँ थाइल्यान्डमा. त्यस्तै एउटा सानो नेक ल्यान्ड नेक जमिन त्यसलाई काट्यो भने you become alternative to Strait of Malacca, and which is good for China, right? अहिले जुन खाली Strait of Malacca तपाईँ हेर्नुहोस् न गुगलमा अहिले खालि Strait of Malacca, no, that's okay. Strait of Malacca.
हामी मलाई चेक पनि गर्न मन लाग्यो कसो रहेछ भनेर हेर्दै कुरा गर्दै गरौँ.
हैन त्यो Strait of Malacca चाइनाको लागि चाहिँ त्यसमा यो क्रा इस्मस भन्ने आएपछि for China it's a alternative short even shorter connecting route. As a matter of fact 950 kilometers that is छोटो हुन्छ if you have क्रा इस्मस.
Strait of Malacca भन्नु तपाईले.
STRAITS,
Straits of Malacca.
Straits of MALACCA, Malacca.
Okay. Straits of Malacca.
Straits of Malacca, okay. And this man, then, yeah. That's it. That's the. Can you see it? No, get. That happens to the Strait of Malacca. Yeah, focus on that. Yeah. Oh, that's it.
Malacca.
Oh, yeah, the arrow. You see the narrow neck? On the left
right
side.
side.
No, right side. Right side.
Alimanti lo त्यो बिचको.
Yeah.
Okay. So you Singapore Strait भनेको.
Straits of Malacca. Yeah. त्यहाँबाट चाहिँ East Asia, Middle East and Europe, हैन.
यो the line त्यो बिचमा गइरहेको होला.
Yes.
Okay, Singapore र मलेसियाको बिचबाट गइरहेको line. Okay.
And very narrow, right? And there's a tremendous military significance. अब त्यो त्यहाँ अब can you go to now Kra Isthmus, Thailand? You go to Thailand and see Kra Isthmus.
KRA.
Another word, ISTHMUS, Isthmus. Oh, Isthmus of Kra.
Map ma herum त्यो पनि.
Oh, त्यो चाहिँ okay, त्यहाँ under yellow.
Right go. Okay, त्यो बिचको.
त्यो वास्तवमा it looks big, it's not big. त्यसलाई छिर्न पायो भने if you could tunnel it, त्यो भयो भने that road will be 950 kilometers shorter.
Map ma herum त विराज एकचोटी.
त त्यो भयो भने चाइनालाई चाहिँ अहिले हल्का फिल हुन्छ
म्यापमै जाउँ न त्यो म्याप नै क्लिक गर त अनि त्यही नै छ त्यही अप्सन छ त अलको साइडको
एनिवे होइन यो त मैले भन्नु खोजेको के भने त्यो बिआरआईमा चाहिँ चाइनाको अरू पनि अघि हामीले रिसोर्सेसको कन्स्ट्रक्सन इक्विपमेन्ट यो कन्स्ट्रक्सन एक्सपिरियन्सको मात्र कुरा गऱ्यौँ यो चाहिँ साइड इफेक्ट चाहिँ यो हो कि इट प्रोभाइड्स चाइना विथ अल्टरनेटिभ ट्रेड रुट्स फर इट्स एसेन्सियल्स द्याट्स ओके
ठिकै छ ल
आई थिङ्क द्याट्स अल राइट ओके तर एन्ड द्याट्स बिलियन्स अफ डलर प्रोजेक्ट इट इज वर्थ फर चाइना तर एनिवे त्यो चाहिँ अलि it's not without controversy. But you remember, if that happens, big loss for Singapore. You know?
Yeah.
Big loss because suddenly huge amount of trade is diverted.
Goes through Thailand.
It goes through Thailand. So there are many other factors which I don't want to, no need to bring it here. But BRI ko yo orko why this alternative helps China for its trade and other purposes. त्यसैले यो इन्फ्रास्ट्रक्चरमा वर्ल्ड ब्याङ्कको चाहिँ धेरै कमी देखिन्छ के त फोकस जति हुनु पर्थ्यो जति एसियाले चाहन्थ्यो एन्ड देन दे स्टार्टेड टु युज देयर ओन रिसोर्सेस फर थ्रु AIIB एन्ड अदर इन्स्टिट्युसन्स अनि त अर्को कुरा के भने यो जब ब्याङ्कले चाहे वर्ल्ड ब्याङ्क होस् चाहे एसियन विकास ब्याङ्क हो तिनीहरूले लोन दिँदाखेरि कन्डिसन राखेको हुन्छ कि यो शर्त पुरा हुनुपर्छ भनेर अनि कति शर्तहरू एडिबीमा पनि छन् तर एडिबी भन्दा वर्ल्ड ब्याङ्कको प्रोजेक्टहरूमा चाहिँ धेरै नै त्यो कन्डिसनहरू राखेको हुन्छ जुन कि प्रोजेक्टसँग डाइरेक्ट सम्बन्धै छैन क्या अनरिलेटेड नन प्रोजेक्ट रिलेटेड कन्डिसनालिटिज जस्तै कि त्यसमा आउँछ कि यो लेबर कन्डिसन यो माइनोरिटी कन्डिसन यो जेन्डर कन्डिसन package as a package it comes with this and even if you don't see the need for it you don't have choice because you need the money for the project so you are stuck with it
so if you're desperate for finances I mean like it comes with a package jun chai political ideologies pani wrap up garera ल्याउँछ
no without doubt so and now this is okay as long as there is no alternative resources but and as long as there is no awareness in the borrowing countries. But once the borrowing countries like China, there's nothing doing. These conditions have nothing to do with the success or failure of the project. Or Singapore, they will not accept. अब हाम्रो केसमा प्लिज डोन्ट आस्क हाम्रो यसमा चाहिँ त्यो गर्नलाई नि वी सुड टेक ए स्ट्यान्ड नेपालले पनि नि न हामी सधैँ हामी सानो कन्ट्री सानो आवाज हाम्रो कि नो आई थिङ्क इट्स टाइम फर अस टु से वी आर ए स्मल कन्ट्री हामीबाट सानो धेरै छन् even physically. And it's just again mindset. I don't want to say Nepal is a big country and all that, but खालि लिमिट्समा मात्रै नजाउँ क्या तर होमवर्क चाहिँ गर्नुपर्छ किनकि त्यो जब नेपालको प्रोजेक्ट आउँछ when you go to Washington DC for loan negotiation you better know what are the conditions that you want to ask them, what are the questions you have. अब किताब नहेरिकन त्यसै त्यहाँ गयो भने त के भने and all the conditions they give you accept. त्यसमा चाहिँ it there again it depends upon the homework. त्यसैले इन्फ्रास्ट्रक्चर फोकस भएन कन्डिसनलिजमा त्यस्तो छ होइन अनि अगेन द भ्यालु लोडेड अनि द हेड अफ वर्ल्ड ब्याङ्क इज अलवेज अमेरिकन द हेड अफ IMF is always European the head of World Bank is always American. So again, you don't have, it's not because Asia doesn't have talent or Africa or Latin America, and as a matter of fact, some of the World Bank president, we know for sure that we have better candidates. Anyway, these are some of the weaknesses of the second pillar. And the final pillar is WTO. त्यो चाहिँ वर्ल्ड ट्रेड अर्गनाइजेसन छ यो इन्टरनेसनल ट्रेडमा चाहिँ अब कसरी व्यापार गरिन्छ के कुन देशले केमा चाहिँ रेस्ट्रिक्सन गर्न पाइन्न tariff कसरी लगाइन्छ लगाइन्न कसलाई preferential treatment दिन्छ दिइन्न all these details is looked after by WTO World Trade Organizations यसको headquarters चाहिँ Switzerland and यसको head for change right now the serving Director General of WTO is a lady from Nigeria. Okay? किनभने this is one organization where every is consensus, decision through consensus. Every country, big or small, has voice. Unlike in the World Bank, unlike in the IMF. You know? So sometimes it does take time for approval, but at least no country has veto power, or alternatively, every country has veto power because it goes by consensus. यसमा चाहिँ जगदीश भगवती भन्ने, he's a very renowned trade economist. Columbia, I think he's a professor there. Frankly, a candidate for Nobel laureate for a long time. He has a very good thing to say about the World Trade Organizations and organizations that really keeps the trade flowing or helping expand. Yes, money. Our international trade for झगडा हुन सक्छ, dispute हुन सक्छ. तिमीले पठाउन नपर्ने माल मलाई पठाइदियो, यो सब्सिडी लगाइदियो, म तिमीलाई restriction गर्छु, I will not allow you market. And then I will demand you should open the market according to rule. त्यो झगडा हुन सक्छ, dispute हुन सक्छ on many ground. त्यो भयो भने त्यो सेटल गर्नलाई dispute settlement mechanism भन्ने छ त्यहाँ. And this part is what Jagadish Bhagavati, he really has a good thing to say. He appreciates this part. And yes, under this mechanism, they have set up, the institution, WTO has set up what's called appellate body, to one who gives judgment. There are 7 judges on that. Saturday judges. And the decision given by the board, by this body, appellate body, is legally binding. So it's not one of those. It's with the teeth. Yes, quorum minimum, you have to have 3 judges out of 7 to consider the case. And each term of the judge is 4 years, subject to 1 extension, not more than 1. Then they come from different countries. And the main thing is when they are in that assignment, that responsibility, they forget their nationality, naturally. Because even if the case is relating to your country, your national, you pretend you are above that in giving your judgment. This is the criteria ko adharma chanincha, Oile, now if you ask me, out of those 7, how many are serving? 0. There is no judge right now in that appellate body. Now the question is why? Because every time it is time for extension of the existing judge or for recruitment of the new candidate, America has been objecting since Obama time. Because it just doesn't take action. Just keep quiet. Just no action, nothing. So it expires. Last case was, there was one American lady known for her, she's very, very, very professional. So when it was time for her extension, I think this was during Trump's time, Trump administration. No extension. So one by one, 7 became 6, became 5, became 4, and the last one that retired or whose term expired was in, I think, 2020 or 2021, or a couple of years ago, and since then, nobody, no appellate body. Now, this was the truth of the WTO, 3rd pillar. This would this legally binding case, it was flowing. Now, one country X can impose on country Y. A country can 100% tariff, or it can quantitative restriction, means completely we ban you. Now where do you go and complain? Appellate body is not there anymore.
So कसले डिसिजन मेकिङ कसले गरिरहेको छ, कसले रन गर्छ त्यो सबै डिस्प्युटहरू?
This body used to do it.
So now alternative?
Now alternative, there is an alternative system, temporary interim, very just to not to completely make it dysfunctional नगर्नको लागि I think European and other countries are मिलेर एउटा व्यवस्था चाहिँ गरिरहेको छ, but that's very interim and that's very tentative. Clearly, on a very short-term basis, not a long-term, that त्यो भइसकेपछि फेरि dismantle गरेर you coming back to this. तर अहिलेको इस्यु हेर्दाखेरि the way the international scenario goes, हैन, जुन किसिमले अहिले अन्तर्राष्ट्रिय गतिविधि भइरहेछ, त्यो यो एपिलेट बडी त छिटो पुनर के भन्छ त्यसलाई रिसरेक्ट त होला जस्तो छैन. अब त्यो इन्टरिम त्यो व्यवस्था त भइरहेछ. आई थिङ्क 4-5 त देश मिलेर, मुख्य देश चाइना, युरोपियन कन्ट्रिज मिलेर. बट द फ्याक्ट इज दिस इज a big termite in that third pillar also. Now, the system, you are the one who built the system. You are the one who is making sure that it doesn't function well. So this is why when you say rule-based order, so you got to know what we are talking about, what is being understood. Rule-based order, yes, nobody should be above rule. But then rules should be for the larger interest.
So जुन सातजना supposedly जजेसहरूको टर्म एक्सपायर भयो, अमेरिकाको इन्ट्रेस्ट किन छ यसमा, त्यो एक्सटेन्सन नगर्नुमा या नयाँ रिक्रुट नगर्नुमा? अमेरिकाले पावर होल्ड गर्छ यसमा पनि डिसिजन मेकिङमा? Needed
by not, it's not a veto, but to certain it is के भन्नु अब गुडविल भन्नु कि सबै, it is
so soft power छ अमेरिकाको.
So soft power without doubt. It's not a veto.
Yeah.
But then there's a implicit or implied endorsement which doesn't come, you don't bulldoze. So त्यसैले यो तिनैवटा स्तम्भमा we do have some issues. Our political union, the Security Council is the major concern, major issues. Our alternate, that's why the world is going through very, very unpredictable stage. From finance to trade to development aspect to the values, cultural values.
And even recent times when UN is in question, जुन हिसाबले यो सबै कुराहरू भइरहेछ, जुन हिसाबले इजरायल प्यालेस्टाइनको केसलाई डिफरेन्टली ट्रिट गर्छ देन रसिया युक्रेन, आई मिन लाइक युएनले जेनरल पब्लिकली देख्न थाल्छ यो कुरा, क्वेसन गर्न थाल्छ क्या.
त्यही त the General Assembly ल्याउँदाखेरि is okay, but General Assembly doesn't have that bite which this appellate body of WTO has. The General Assembly को चाहिँ moral voice छ. Yeah, it is a tremendous moral voice. But yeah, it stops there. Oh, frankly, you चाहिँ मैले जान युज नगरेको कि त्यो political त्यो fourth स्तम्भ, that's not quite in my area. So Sushant, this is where the economic order we stand today, and our hope is to make the existing order better, but by ensuring the valid recommendations, valid suggestions, and let there be a seat on the table for at least the major economies, if not all. Major economies त चाहियो नि. The voice, because the world, the colonial period is gone long time ago. त्यो भइदियो भने चाहिँ I think we have a better world. And the best thing especially for the two largest economies, the US and China, is to work together. These are the two giants. It is interesting. Towards the end of who opened China? Nixon. When? 1972. Why? Try to contain Soviet Union, because that was the war. The conflict was, the Cold War was between US and Russia. Soviet Union, not with China. So they wanted to, off-balance that, and that they did it. And towards the end of his life, Nixon opened up, right? Toward the end of his life, he confided to his speechwriter and best friend, William Safire. You know what he said?
Mm-hmm.
I think we have created Frankenstein. It's in the book. So यो मैले जम्मै भनिरहेको किनभने मैले पढाएको छु, might as well share with the audience.
And then it turned out to be
No,
an actual Frankenstein.
त्यो
केसमा चाहिँ अमेरिकाको केसमा चाहिँ
मैले त खालि के भने this was, Nixon did say that, did confide, not publicly, not in a large group, to his friend William Safire, who also happened to be a speechwriter, and he's a journalist. In other words, Frankenstein is different expressions, but I certainly would say yes, that helped another additional economy to come up from the mess and lift 800 million poor people out of poverty.
Not just that, तर एउटा check and balance को पनि कुरा आयो त्यहाँतिर when China becomes large.
Yeah, check and multipolarity, and plurality in the opinion. What wants democracy mani? We say we are the market of free ideas and all that. भनेपछि, by definition, you must have tolerance for different opinions. Not only democracy, there could be non. म त भन्छु तपाईँ कसरी कसरी भन्नुहुन्छ मलाई थाहा छैन. मैले त भन्छु I emphasize, म जोड के भन्दैछु भने डेलिभरी हुनुपर्छ. जनताको जीवनस्तरमा सुधार हुनुपर्छ, चाहे कुनै पनि व्यवस्था किन नहोस्. म सायद त्यसलाई चाहिँ डिसिप्लिनरी डेमोक्रेसी विथ डेलिभरिज D3 त्यो म भन्न चाहन्छु. अब अरू तपाईँ यसलाई कुनै पनि नाम दिनुहोस्, तर डेलिभरीमा चाहिँ म फोकस गर्छु कि अदरवाइज डेमोक्रेसी इज ए 9-letter word, just like a commercial brand, IKEA, Apple, Microsoft, Gap, it's a political brand, democracy. Then what is it's nothing more than it's just a I don't see that. जुन व्यवस्थाले 80 करोड मान्छेलाई यति छिटो वर्ल्ड बैंकले के भन्छ, as 800 million people out of poverty, history is ashamed, history is quiet in the मानवताको इतिहासमा यस्तो कहिले भएन, न भूत हो न भविष्य. त्यो सिस्टमलाई तपाईँ किन फ्याक्नुहुन्छ? If the system ain't broken, why fix it? Why you throw it away? त्यसैले म त भन्छु Nixon may not have created Frankenstein. Nixon may have lifted 800 million people out of poverty by helping the country, China. So let's give a positive twist. त्यही कुरालाई हामी अर्को ढङ्गले हेर्ने हो भने चाइनालाई हेल्प गर्नु के 800 मिलियन गरिबीमा डुबेका ती मान्छेलाई चाहिँ माथि ल्यायो, जुन अहिलेको इतिहासमा यति धेरै मान्छेहरू यति थोरै अवधिमा हुनै पाएको थिएन. Now India is trying. So त्यो सेन्समा चाहिँ I think little bit of you play win-win के. It doesn't have to be zero-sum game. You win, I have to be completely loser, or vice versa. The world is too small, and now I can talk connected all over the world by today's AI, But the world is also too large that you fit, I fit, and many other countries fit. We can work together, and that is where I want to stop for the better future of the humanity. Sarve bhavantu sukhina, sarve santu niramaya, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschid dukha bhagovet. यसैले अर्कोमा सर्वेषां शान्तिर्भवतु, सर्वेषां मङ्गलं भवतु, सर्वेषां पूर्णं भवन्तु. सबैलाई सुख, सबैमा सुख, शान्ति, समृद्धि सबै देशमा र मिलिजुली बस्न पाऊँ, So with that, I think I have nothing more to add on the World Economic Order after this.
I think that's perfect. हामीहरूको आज एकदमै धेरै कुरा डिस्कस गर्ने प्लान थियो तर यो नै यस्तो डेप्थमा गयो कि विल लिभ एट दिस नेक्स्ट एपिसोड नेक्स्ट पार्ट अफ यसकोमा चाहिँ वी विल डिस्कस अबाउट चाइना कसरी राइज भयो सिङ्गापुर कसरी राइज भयो एन्ड नेपालको कन्टेक्स्ट पनि
सर्वेषां स्वस्तिर्भवतु सर्वेषां शान्तिर्भवतु सर्वेषां पूर्णं भवन्तु सर्वेषां मङ्गलम् what else could you wish for? When I wish everything for you are happy, that's very good. If I'm happy, that's very good. If you are happy because of my happiness, I'm even better happier. So thank you, Sushant. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you so much for यस्तो डिटेल्ड वेमा जुन हिसाबले तपाईँले एक्सप्लेन गर्नुभयो करेन्ट वर्ल्ड अर्डरमा चाहिँ स्पेसली इकोनोमिक पर्सपेक्टिभदेखि लिएर एभ्रिथिङ आई थिङ्क द्याट्स भेरी फ्रुटफुल अनि यसले गरेर एउटा बेस पनि क्रिएट गरेको छ फर आवर नेक्स्ट डिस्कसन जुनमा चाहिँ विल टक अबाउट लाइक भेरियस कन्ट्रिजहरू कसरी डेभलप भयो एन्ड वेयर वी आर हामी के गर्न सक्छौँ होला पोसिबली मेबी अलङ दोज लाइन्स सो आल सी यू नेक्स्ट विक फेरि
Thank you very much.
Bye everybody.
Okay,
yeah, well, sure.
म सनी भन्छु इट इज अ बर्न आउट भइसकेको छ जस्तै you and I, what we are doing is, they say a song is not a song until you sing it. A bell is not a bell until you ring it. An experience has no meaning until you share it. And that's all I was doing. Whatever little I know, I thought if I share it, that's great. I feel good.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.